Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we are covering Proverbs chapters 12 through 15.
Bam, nailed it. You didn't fuck up this
time.
Yeah,
not this time. That may have happened 2 days ago, but this is a new Lawrence.
Yes.
A different Lawrence.
An improved Lawrence.
Yep. All of your atoms have been replaced.
It's like a 7-year process.
So,
minimum.
How many atoms need to be replaced on Lawrence before it's no longer Lawrence? One? That's a pretty hardcore answer.
Changing all the time.
Oof. That's, that was actually Buddha's thing. Or not Buddha. I think it was Bodhidharma who had the idea. Well, basically, their idea was that there's no consistency. No permanence to selfhood.
The only consistency is the fact that you're just experiencing this one loop, or this one run. Yeah. Either way,
so screw the ship of Theseus.
Yeah, seriously, that paradox
Each ship
my ass.
is unique,
yeah.
And if you want to rebuild it with its old parts, those are unique ships. Get over it.
So this week last week we finished the opening Proverbs
of Solomon.
Yeah. And now we're in the Proverbs of Solomon.
Yes.
And we will be until the end of the book.
I'm not 100%. I mean, there are going to be more, definitely, but I don't know if it goes all the way to the end of the book. Okay. But either way,
go all the way.
We are finishing the portion of those.
Yeah.
And we can, continue with our talks about wisdom and stuff. There's nothing really super special to discuss when it comes to these particular proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So either way, what translation do you have?
I have the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Robert Alter version of the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary.
We have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews.
And the New King James Version.
Let's see, what else do we have? We have Erdman's commentary on the Bible.
We have the Oxford Companion to the Bible.
We do. And I don't know if we will use them today, but we have the Early History of God and the Origins of Biblical Monotheism, both by Mark S. Smith.
Yep. And we're definitely not going to use it today, but we have the NIB Volume 6 commentary.
And we also have the Old Testament survey, which we did use for the first episode. That was actually useful.
Yes, and there's nothing left in it.
Yeah,
we went through everything.
We covered it all. Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. So either way, we can honestly just hop right into the readings.
All right, let's do it then. Chapter 12. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. Ooh. So, we were covering Sirach.
So what, hold on, what verse was that?
That was verse 2 of chapter 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we were covering Sirach, and they have that theme, or the author of Sirach has this theme where you gain the favor of the Lord because of protection, basically, because the Lord will fuck up everyone who isn't in his favor.
Providence.
Yes, providence. Chris has been obsessed with that word today.
I brought it up once.
In Rhode Island?
Yes, Rhode Island.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same here, where
it is. Yeah, it's a very similar kind of literature. I mean, they're both wisdom writings. Yeah.
Is that the essence of what it means to be wisdom writings, though?
I mean, the thing is, a lot of it is very pragmatic, and then some of it is, about divine things and divine favor. But that is one of the biggest themes of wisdom literature.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of praising wisdom.
Yeah, definitely.
Which one would think that it isn't really necessary to do so.
I think in Sirach, which we started on Friday, I think in Sirach there was a verse that was referencing how wisdom was their creation.
Yeah,
That was one of the
which
first
is
things. Yeah.
in conflict with Proverbs, because
Well, no,
Proverbs, according to Proverbs, wisdom was there when
Yeah.
God created everything. But in Sirach, wisdom is a creation of God.
Mm-hmm.
So
Make
maybe
up your
that's maybe that's why it's not currently in the Jewish canon.
I mean, I don't know why,
Well, maybe we'll.
but it
figure
was
out
definitely a
someday.
very important piece of literature.
Yeah.
And you know what? I should bring it next week. The Biblical Canon by Lee Martin McDonald.
All right.
Yeah.
A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous man shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. Ooh, that's rough.
It is. It's rude, is what it is.
It's really rude. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. So that we had that same theme earlier on in in Proverbs, and they kind of dropped it for a while, where these wicked people are out there who just want to murder and maim and kill and destroy.
Yeah. Also about the mouth of the upright will save them. So this kind of goes to the theme that we've seen from Proverbs about the people who aren't oppressed standing up for the people that are.
Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, it's the ideal legal system, right? Because this is supposedly Solomon giving information to his children who will someday be king and be in charge of legal proceedings. And so, like, well, for one thing, it would be equating uprightness with deliverance in terms of like the wicked actions that people make. So, like, in terms of legal punishment, right, it is upright to punish people legally, right, as a king.
I mean, sure, but I'm not sure if this has anything to do with legal stuff at all. Like, it could definitely be applied to that, but I don't think it's specifically that.
Well, I mean, I don't see how otherwise the mouth of the upright delivers them.
Well,
Right.
you know, when you're there for somebody, when you stand up for somebody,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, yeah, the word there is deliver, but the word here is just save. But the vague pronomial object would be the victims of the wicked who appear in the first verse. That's all the commentary that Alter has on that. But the translation that he has is will save them.
I'm not sure how it saves them either.
I don't know. Gets them out of the situation temporarily.
Maybe, but like, so they're wicked people who are lying in wait to shed blood, right? And then upright people say something and it saves them. So what is it? Upright people like convincing them not to kill people, or
Maybe.
who knows? The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. It didn't happen. Temple was destroyed.
It was, yes.
Yep. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoreth himself and lacketh bread. That's interesting.
Yeah, so better a scorned man who has a slave than one who fancies himself honored and lacks bread.
So it's better to be wicked
An evil man with a slave
with a slave.
hell is
Then-
this?
What the fuck are they talking about?
than one who fancies himself honored and lacks bread. Okay, so it's about arrogance, I think.
Oh, well,
Yes, I get that, but it's so poorly phrased.
It is.
it's extremely poorly phrased.
Distastefully.
He has a slave. And the other dude's just poor.
Oh, yeah. That's right, because slaves were all Gucci back then.
Oh.
So
Oh, yeah. Ugh. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Be nice to your pets.
the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Here, the antithesis between versets takes an interesting turn. The righteous man is so compassionate that he has an intuitive sense of the needs and discomforts of his beast. The wicked person, on the other hand, is so utterly devoid of compassion that even what he affects to be an expression of mercy turns out to be cruel.
Yeah, it's kind of like Chris with his spiders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris has these spiders.
Guys, I don't have them. They're just in my basement.
So Chris finds spiders around the basement, and then he keeps throwing them into a wine decanter and basically pitting them against each other. It's quite cruel.
Yeah, kind of is.
They're alive.
I'm sure it's...
One.
Been alive for a
One
long
is
time.
alive.
No, two.
Two? Did you find another one?
No, it's been the same two for like a week now. And I mean, sometimes I find a fly and I put it in there too. I mean, it's alive and they go after it.
See, this
They're
is
kind
a
of like
t-
pets. I'm not mean to them. I found them in the
Chris.
basement. It's not like I'm
Chris.
cruel to them.
Chris.
You know, this part of the Bible is correct. He thinks that he's doing the right thing.
Damn it, Chris. Why'd you have to go and prove the Bible right?
Oof.
I mean, I take care of my actual pet quite well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. I don't see what those two things have to do with each other, but okay. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit.
So I think this is just about working to get stuff. Like you have to put effort in for good things to come.
On verse 12, does he have any commentary there?
Yes. So the wicked covets the evil men's trap, but the root of the righteous stands firm. For the wicked covets the evil men's trap, the Hebrew is a little obscure. It could mean that he covets whatever is caught in the evil men's trap, or perhaps that he envies the malicious ingenuity of the that is manifested in contriving the trap. And then for stand firm, this translation reads...
Trap envy.
Then for stands firm, this translation reads with the Septuagint, Yakon, for the Masoretic Yatin, will give.
Okay. Well, the translation of net is interesting because Marduk used a net to capture Tiamat, and therefore the contents of that net.
Sure, but if you remember net, that is often used as a metaphor.
Mhm.
In the Psalms especially,
Right.
remember? Yeah, about being caught in the net.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the same kind of thing there.
All right. Oh, where's this net? Okay. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him.
So for verse 14, in this verse, two characteristics, both of which are good, are praised and set alongside each other. A thoughtful disposition combined with hard work and industriousness is commended. The message appears at first to be unduly obvious, but the aim is to affirm and commend aspects of character and conduct, which may at first appear relatively unimportant, but which are potentially very serious in their long-term consequences.
You know, I wonder if there's some relevance to this verse in the Hebrew, because in all the other verses that we've covered so far, it definitely has been like the wicked do X, the righteous do Y.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely a lot of them.
Whereas this one is the righteous do X, the righteous do Y, right?
Yeah.
So it's
This is
it's different in form.
Yes, definitely.
What?
Which actually, along with the verse about the scorned man, who has a slave, verse 9.
Mhm.
Along with that verse, they are pretty much different in form from the other verse sets.
Mhm. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame.
So for this entire section, the extended sequence of sayings in 12:14 through 25 all deal with matters of speech. It represents a prominent feature of wisdom instruction that the springs of all human action lie hidden in the inner recesses of the human mind or heart.
Mhm. Okay. The way I think that was the wrong verse too. The way of the fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So we're getting these like parallel images.
Yeah, and we're kind of getting, how fleeting life is if you're a wicked person.
Yes. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, that's poorly phrased, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. That's outright incorrect, not only within the context of the ideology that was put forward throughout Psalms, but also throughout the presumed history within the rest of the Bible.
Yeah.
The just people are like terrible things happen to them all the time.
Yeah.
Lying lips are abominations to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. You know, there's a continuous theme that doing work, like being productive, is identified with wisdom.
Yeah.
So, like, people who hang out in their basements and make YouTube videos.
Yeah, we suck.
They must be idiots, man.
We are idiots.
Oof.
Someone told us that last week.
Yeah, because...
Sorry, not last week. 2 days ago.
Yeah, you ignored physical evidence for Lilith's existence.
Yeah, apparently.
Something. Did you bring it up in the video?
Of course I did.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. It was physical evidence for a prototype of the mezuzah.
Yeah,
that's what it. That's what it was. It's the Arslan Tash amulets. Yeah, I believe that the people then were afraid of something called Lilith. That doesn't mean Lilith exists.
Yeah. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them.
Oh, man, now we're going back. This is, probably going to get us into when wisdom and folly were personified earlier on in the Proverbs. It's probably going to bring us back to that imagery, because the whole thing about, leading men astray and being very seductive for, at least the personified folly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've only got a couple more verses in here, but I would like to point out that verse 4 of this chapter is the only one that references a virtuous woman.
Yeah, actually, there was a bit of commentary on that. It's kind of like at the end of the section in Erdman's, which is why it just passed me by. So, yeah, on the suitable wife in verse 4, Such careful choice of a marriage partner was felt to be one of the biggest and genuinely risk-laden steps in life. The need to marry a woman from outside the most immediate family circle involved bringing in a person with a different background from that of a known family grouping, and often from another kin group altogether. Since a wide range of social and economic values were enshrined in the strongly felt ties of family and kinship, this was a risk-laden proceeding. So the taking in marriage of a relative outsider was recognized to involve uncertainties with needed careful weighing.
Oh, you're not marrying your sister? What's wrong with you?
Basically that kind of harkens to the whole shtick in Ezra and Nehemiah.
Yeah,
about keeping it in the family.
Right.
That means two things.
But I think it's noteworthy that this virtuous woman in verse 4 is the only reference to a female throughout, because usually, I mean, at least from what we've seen so far, there is a lot of female imagery associated with wisdom, and that is just not present in this chapter.
No, I'm not.
It is not, no.
Solomon's chunk doesn't necessarily seem to have as much imagery for her.
The slothful man...
We're going to get back into it, don't worry.
Yeah. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious.
So you just have is precious. Alter's translation is a bit different, and then he has a note on it. The shiftless man will not roast his game, but a man's wealth is precious gold. So a man's wealth is precious gold. In the implied antithesis, the assiduous person knows how to hang on to his substance. But it's just interesting that the word gold is included there.
In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. Just like the Jedi code, there is no death, there is only the Force.
So the Masoretic text, Waderek Netiva Almawet, seems to say literally, and the way of path undeath. This does not sound like intelligible Hebrew. This translation, following a hint from three ancient versions, reads meshuva, mischief or waywardness, for netiva, path, and in accordance with many Hebrew manuscripts, revocalizes al, not or un, as el, too. So, yeah, that's why his is different there, and I think his makes way more sense, honestly.
Yeah. But that's the end of chapter 12.
Yes, it is.
If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share it around with your friends, family, neighbors, etc., etc.
Your dog, your cat, your random homeless people on the street.
Yeah, random homeless people on the streets.
They could use a URL.
Other rioters.
Yeah, rioters.
Yeah, rioters.
Yeah, that's it. And
So-
they are no longer quarantining.
Yeah, they're not quarantining, so they can watch us while they're doing their things. They all have their phones out anyway.
They do. They could just, have their headphones on and burn some stuff down and also be listening to us.
Incredible.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not anytime soon.
Either way, let's hop right into chapter 13, shall we?
So, chapter 13, where does it start?
I think it's down here.
Down here. Oh, yeah, just the very last thing. Okay. Direct references to God are completely lacking in this chapter, but the general conviction that a beneficent and just providential order governs the world pervades all the sayings.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot in wisdom literature, even if it's not, or not even necessarily wisdom literature. But if you remember Esther, for example, very lacking in references to God, but the implication is that it was God who was in fact behind these things.
Yeah,
it was kind of the same way in First Maccabees as well.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
So it says the major theme is that as a guide to life, Blessings reward the righteous person who works hard and who refrains from evil conduct. The opening sentence appears as a general restatement of the oft-repeated principle which urged children to adhere to parental instruction. The wider range of subjects covered in others of the sayings points to a more adult readership. No overall structure is evident in the makeup of the chapter, and the major themes dealt with are closely similar to those that have already dominated the collection. So, more of the same.
Well, let's hop right into it, shall we?
Yes.
A wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. From the fruit of his mouth a man eats what is good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. Whoever guards...
So, Alter translates, from the fruit of a man's mouth he eats goodly things, but from the throat of traitors comes outrage. He says, the parallelism with mouth in the first verse and the contrast between virtuous and vicious speech suggests that the multivalent nephesh here has the meaning of throat. The verb comes has been added to clarify the Hebrew, which has no verb or the merely implied verb is.
Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. So,
yeah, you can get in trouble if you talk too much.
yeah, don't talk too much. You gotta stay silent. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. The righteous hates falsehood, but the wicked brings shame and disgrace. The righteousness guards him. Or it actually doesn't say the, just says righteousness guards him.
So Alter translates this.
Well, I have
as,
more.
Okay.
Yeah. Righteousness guards him whose way is blameless, but sin overthrows the wicked.
Okay. Alter translates it as righteousness keeps the blameless, but wickedness perverts the offender. He doesn't, well.
I mean, they're pretty
No.
much saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not even that different at all.
No.
One pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth.
That's like that previous warning that we talked about.
The ransom of a man's life is his wealth, but a poor man hears no threat. Hears no threat.
Yeah, it says a poor man will hear no rebuke. If the received text is correct, this would mean that whereas the rich man may have to call on his wealth to ransom himself from predators, no one bothers a poor man. Nevertheless, rebuke, ge'ara, is a little odd, and some amend it to ge'ula, redemption, yielding the sense that the poor man, when he's in a fix, has no resources with which to redeem himself.
The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. By insolence comes nothing but strife, but with those who take advice is wisdom. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. You know, it's funny that the translation here is hastily in verse 11. What's your verse 11?
Verse 11 says, wealth can be less than mere breath, but who gathers bit by bit makes it grow. He says wealth can be evanescent, vanishing overnight, but the person who assiduously gathers it bit by bit, presumably without undertaking risky ventures with what he has accumulated, will see his resources steadily grow.
Right, like this verse isn't, I mean, all these verses are lacking in nuance, obviously.
Yeah.
But this one especially so, because, if you gain, the translation that I have is hastily, but then it also says for the word hastily or by fraud, which is very different. But let's say that you gain your wealth quickly. That doesn't mean that, yes, it will technically dwindle, but it doesn't mean it's all going to go away? Like, what if you gain a lot of wealth fast and then, little by little get more?
Mhm.
Like, you could do both. Doesn't have to be one or the other.
It's advised.
There's a general consensus in the wisdom sayings that wealth is desirable and a mark of divine blessing,
Yes.
but it must be gained honestly through hard work.
Mm.
Risky commercial ventures in expectation of gaining rapid wealth are to be strongly distrusted and resisted. Even more reprehensible are persona who lend money at exorbitant rates of interest, or those who take advantage of hard times in order to increase their gains to the misfortune of others.
Mm.
Overall, the picture of commercial and economic activity presented in Proverbs is of a relatively advanced and complex world. The primary form of wealth is regarded as deriving from the productive farming of a modest agricultural estate. The need for loans, guarantees, and honest trading practices is recognized as a paramount concern for economic welfare and social harmony. Where earlier sayings have emphasized strongly the contrasting lifestyles of righteous and wicked people, a further comparison between the virtues of wisdom and the inevitable ruin that faces those who are foolhardy is repeated. Accordingly, the willingness to seek and accept advice shows itself as a major facet of good character. Conversely, garrulous talk, the spurning of advice, and consorting with fools lead only to disaster. The goal is clearly to command careful listening to advice and to enjoy the company of the wise in order to become wise oneself.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Back to that tree of life.
Back
imagery.
to the tree of life, which is the one thing that they missed out on when they left Eden.
Yeah, good old tree of life, yep. They got the other one.
Yeah.
Whoever despises the word brings destruction on himself. And I'm assuming the word here is specifically about like the instructions.
What verse is that?
13?
13. Who scorns a word will be hurt. The clear implication is that this is a word of reproof.
Yeah. But he who reveres the commandment will be rewarded. And of course, the commandment is, in fact, the teaching, the instruction. Yeah.
The Torah.
Well, no, this doesn't have to necessarily be the Torah.
Doesn't?
No, because remember earlier on, like they referred to the teaching or the instructions as a commandment.
Mm.
Like
I guess.
Hold it close to your heart like a commandment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, that one may turn away from the snares of death. Good sense wins favor, but the way of the treacherous is their ruin.
So, you remember in Enoch where they had those fountains in Sheol, and one of
Yes.
them was like in this bright area, and it was all wonderful. I wonder if that's related in any way to
The fountain of life?
the fountain of life.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Because, I mean, in the Enoch story, the people who would be going into that area would be wise, righteous people.
I thought that was for the angels, wasn't it?
I thought it was for the people. Man.
I don't know. We have to go back and read that, I guess.
No, because the angels, the fallen angels were put into a prison.
Yeah, no, those were different angels.
Yeah, those were different. And then they had another group, I think, that they put into a different prison. No. Oh, man. There were definitely people going into the pits.
Yes, but I don't think it was that pit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that pit was the one that it was all bright and happy, like good people.
It was definitely bright, but it wasn't described too much other than being bright.
Yeah. Well, I figured that the implication, because they describe all of the other ones as being the area
Sure.
where like unwise, unrighteous people go,
Sure.
right? Then that would imply that one is the one where the wise, righteous people go. It's the same image.
Either way, I don't think it's the fountain of life. Either way, in everything the prudent acts with knowledge, but a fool flaunts his folly. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a faithful envoy brings healing. Poverty and disgrace come to him who ignores instruction, but whoever needs reproof is honored. A desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools.
Um,
That was verse 19.
okay. Yeah, it's the same meaning, but the word choice is so different. It says, desire fulfilled is sweet to the palate, but fool's loathing is swerving from evil.
Okay. Yeah, that is really weird. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Disaster pursues sinners, but the righteous are rewarded with good. So the note here on disaster in verse 21, my note says that it also says evil.
Alter just says harm. He doesn't have a note on it.
Okay.
But let me check the KJV. What was that? Verse 21, not 20 none. Yeah, it says evil pursueth sinners.
Okay.
I guess.
A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Rude. Hold on. But what if the sinner wants to give his wealth to his grandchildren?
What verse is that?
That is 22.
22. Okay, yeah. I was just looking at the wrong place. A lot of these lines seem phrased in almost exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I bet being a scribe
Awful.
and doing proverbs, that would suck.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing, scribes messed up all the time when like the ends of sentences ended the same.
But like these sentences all start the same.
They are very similar, yeah. So I guess you could easily skip a whole verse.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about, the manuscripts for Proverbs.
Yeah, neither do I. But I imagine that if you're like, the wise man does X, the bad guy does Y, and the wise man does X.
Yeah,
and
so on.
Yeah.
The fallow ground of the poor would yield much food, but it is swept away through injustice.
Okay.
That's a nice noise you made
That
there.
was
Much
sweeping
food
noise.
from the furrows of the destitute, and some are swept away without justice.
Yeah, so it's different because that's not fallow ground.
This proverb is cryptic. Perhaps, like verse 7, it might be a worldly observation on the contradictory nature of reality. Destitute people have fields from which an abundant yield could be extracted, but they can't figure out how to do it. Others are suddenly destroyed by a disease or disaster for no good reason. The burden of this line sounds more like Kohelet than Proverbs. What's Kohelet?
I forget what it is. We mentioned it before. It's yeah, I forgot. I already forgot. It is an actual biblical book, but it goes by different names. Yeah, I forget. No, I just forget. I know that I knew it.
Lots of sighs. Or scoffs. Are you just scoffing?
No, I'm not. I don't think so. That would be wrong. I can't be a scoffer. Not on this show, on this godly show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This God-fearing show. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Whoa.
That escalated quickly.
Did your parents beat you enough?
No, my parents did not.
Oh, they should have.
My grandparents, on the other hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking old people.
Hey, привет.
Oh, previous. So that means that your grandparents like you more than your parents do.
Apparently. I don't think
a
that's what it
lie.
means. But, at least according To this, that's what it means.
I like to just say that so far today, the Bible has advocated like beating your children.
Yeah, that is what we have learned today.
And they've
Yep.
said, you know,
It's
if
tough
you're
love.
If you're a crappy person, you know, if you've got a slave, you're not as crappy. But if you've got nothing, you're crappier.
Yeah, like
What is that?
if you have a slave but you're a bad person, then someone who's a good
I like how
person,
I like how they included the but because it was okay then.
yeah.
Yeah, either way.
So where were we? Yeah, the whole thing about beating your kids. The righteous has enough to satisfy his appetite, but the belly of the wicked suffers want.
The literal sense of the Hebrew nafsho is for the sating of his appetite for or gullet.
Fair enough. But that is the end of chapter 13. Do you hear something?
I do.
This is weird. This hasn't happened in so long,
so long.
like 7 days.
7 days.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Holy cow!
Holy cow. No, we got a holy cow right there.
Yeah.
If you have not said hi to Ball yet, you can go ahead and say hi to Ball. He's right here.
Yeah, and
And-
part of saying hi to Ball is paying tribute to Ball, and we currently are running a donation campaign. Once we hit $666, we will be getting a Thetan meter. We'll see who's the most clear, the
we're gonna-
best Scientologist among the Milwaukee Atheist crew.
And we are going to break it down, tell you how it works, maybe see if we can never do that again. And we'll see if we can fiddle with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can cheat.
So many things I'm never
Yeah.
supposed to do again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do them. I'm gonna not remember that.
go back, watch every episode, see every single time I told you not to do something ever again,
There's so many.
and then do it all.
You mean don't?
No, do it all.
Oh, okay.
But it has to be all of them. If it's not all of them, I will not be satisfied.
That's a lot. I'm just not gonna do it then.
All right.
So let's hop into chapter 14.
Yeah, definitely. Chapter 14.
So this starts off differently. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands.
Okay, this is very different because Alter and Erdman's commentary, although interestingly not the ESV. So Alter has wisdom has built her house, and folly with her own hands destroys it. So that takes up that imagery again. But apparently here is hopefully this can help us out a little bit. This verse set is identical with the first verse set of 9:1, except that here the Masoretic text adds nashim, women, or of women, after wisdom. That word looks suspect as idiomatic usage, and one may concur in the proposal of R.B.Y. Scott that it is a scribal gloss. Accordingly, it is omitted in the translation. In any case, the momentary appearance in this section of Proverbs of the allegorical apparatus from the preceding, but presumably later section, chapters 1 through 9, is anomalous. So
we've returned to the wise woman and the bad woman, right? So the implication is that because there's a strong genetic aspect of Judaism, right? Being descendants of Abraham, plentiful as stars in the sky, sand,
all that.
right? So there's this idea that a wise woman will have lots of children, right? She
Yeah.
will build up a strong house, whereas a foolish woman will decrease the number in her house by potentially not having children, or I mean, in a modern context, by aborting.
Yeah, we can definitely hopefully the metaphor gets elucidated a little bit more. So from Erdman's commentary, several new emphases appear which open up fresh insights, and this is, in this chapter, new stuff appearing here, appear which open up fresh insights into the problems and concerns of the typical citizen of ancient Israel. Notable among such fresh emphasis are a concern to demonstrate that the teachings of the wise are at one with the demands of piety and veneration of the Lord as God.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're reading Proverbs chapter 14. The character saying this is supposed to be Solomon.
Yeah, supposed to be.
Say that in Russian.
Solomon?
No, what you're reading.
Say we're reading Proverbs chapter 14. The characters.
Мы читаем Proverbs.
Say chapter 14. Right. Okay. He that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him. Ooh, Chris Hitchens. I wonder how perverse he was. In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride.
Come on.
What?
Come on, Bible.
What did it say?
Okay, so just
In
so
the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride.
yes, in the mouth of the dolt is a rod of pride. Just finish the
I'll finish the
verse, yeah.
But the lips of the wise shall preserve them.
That's nice. Come on, Bible. The contrast is between arrogantly aggressive speech, the rod of pride, and prudent self-protective speech. Rod of pride. We had the rod of God, but now we have the rod of pride.
We need a t-shirt.
A rod of pride t-shirt.
Yeah, we need like
In somebody's
so
throat.
we can do like a rainbow pride, and it'll be like white text, rod of pride, and it'll have the little verse quote,
Yeah.
right?
Or it could just be a rod down some fool's throat.
No. Or something.
Yeah.
We can
So
we can figure something out. But there is a rod of pride in the Bible.
good amount.
It goes in your mouth. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. Yeah, you need animals to work your fields.
Yes, you do.
A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. A scorner seeketh wisdom, and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor. The heart knoweth his own bitterness, and a stranger doth not intermeddle with his joy. The house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the tabernacle of the upright shall flourish. Both untrue.
Well, yeah. But of course, this is demonstrating that they want this to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. You know, we had that earlier. I think it was in Chronicles, maybe it was in Kings, where they continually said, like, people were doing what seemed right to them. You remember that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't in
Wasn't it? Like, no. That's
It wasn't
because
Chronicles,
there
no.
was like a constant going back and forth of the kingdoms, right?
people doing what seemed right to them.
Right, but they just referred to that as doing things which were evil to the Lord.
Was that Psalms?
Was it Psalm? I don't think it was.
Maybe
Psalm.
it was even earlier.
I think it was
Proverbs.
earlier. I think it was way earlier.
Oh, I don't know.
Like first 100 episodes earlier.
By the way, there is a note for this. The repetition of way from the first verset is a little awkward. That effect might be at least mitigated if one adopted Tursanai's proposed emendation of aharit to orota, yielding its paths are the ways to death.
All right. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness.
So there is a little bit here. There's an inner world of the mind where intense feelings may lodge, which can never be shared with others. This also appears to be the meaning intended in verse 13, which you just read, which need not be understood to imply a fundamentally pessimistic viewpoint regarding the inevitability of sorrow. Rather, it draws attention to the great depths of human thoughts and feelings, which may lie, quote, too deep for tears. That's deep right there. Real proverb.
Yep. Highly proverbial.
Yes, it is.
The backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident. So, Judas Maccabeus must have been a pretty foolish guy. Like, he didn't just see evil and run away immediately.
He did not, no.
Nope.
Is there evil around?
All over the place.
No, I mean like nearby here. I gotta go if that's the case.
Is that where you want to be?
Away from
Where all
there?
the evil is?
No.
I think there's a protest scheduled today. You
long as
could
it's
go
not
down
here.
there.
I'll just stay here
You,
as long as there's no evil here.
sit around. He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Again, we return to this idea of the crown.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
We
guess
had that imagery before.
we have, and I guess it's especially prevalent because of the characters who are supposedly receiving and delivering this information.
Yeah, that's probably why Solomon was attributed to this.
Because of the crown that
Maybe the
keeps
crown imagery, the
popping up.
royal imagery.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where was
I guess to talk of building a house.
Yeah. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich hath many friends. So again, we return to this idea that if you're poor, you're just a bad person.
Well, the thing is, it was always the like a lot of the times it's portrayed as the opposite too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because earlier on we had, like even if you aren't making all this money, you are going to be like the one that is saved in the end.
Well, right. It's not necessarily prescriptive, but descriptive, right? And the following verse clarifies it a bit. It says, he that despiseth his neighbor sinneth. But
You gotta love your neighbor.
Yeah. But he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he. Do they not err that devise evil? But mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. What does it say in verse?
Which verse?
That's verse 23.
23, in all hard labor there is profit, but word of the lips is sheer loss.
I don't think so.
I mean, all we do is talk.
And there's a lot of mega church like all they
Also,
do
yes.
is talk.
Yeah.
They're pretty rich.
They are very rich.
What about talk show hosts?
Yeah,
All they do is talk.
Yeah.
Good talk, guys.
Yep.
Real hard work there.
Yep. The crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of fools is folly.
So
What a statement. The foolishness of fools is folly.
Yeah, I know. What a statement.
Damn foolish fools.
Yeah.
Fooling around.
So the verse and altar, the crown of the wise is shrewdness. The garland of the dullards is folly. Yeah. So he does note that the received text reads the folly of dullards is folly. Instead of this tautology, this translation, following many critics, reads lewiyat, garland of, instead of iwilet, folly.
Right. It outright says the folly of fools is folly.
Yeah. And although the shrewdness one, yours was different, the received text reads oshram, their wealth, an improbable candidate as the crown of the wise. The Septuagint more plausibly has orma, shrewdness.
A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. Now, this is important because in the legal system, at least in like rabbinical Judaism, basically, a lot of crimes require multiple witnesses to come forward and attest to the fact that a crime took place.
Yeah, definitely.
So, literally, a true
think,
witness delivereth
I
souls.
think our Russian viewer is desperately trying to call you gay.
Okay.
No, it's funny because they don't speak English.
He's trying. Or she.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at it later.
Yep. In the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. Again, with the fountain of life.
Yeah.
Also, prior to this, I'm just looking at this previous fountain of life reference. I remember, I don't know exactly where it was, but here, the fear of the Lord is the fountain of life,
Okay.
right? And previously, I don't think that was the case. Where did that pop up?
The other verse about the fountain of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I think that was last chapter,
Yeah. I'm trying.
verse 14.
Oh, verse 14. It's right in the middle there.
Yeah.
The law of the wise is a fountain of life, right? Rather than the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life.
But then we also get the snares of death
Mm.
imagery again.
Right. They both have the snares of death, but here different things are the fountain of life. And unless they're trying to say the law of the wise is, categorically identical to the fear of the Lord. Which, is that the implication?
No, I don't think so. Maybe these are just different parts of a bigger whole, I guess. Either way.
In the multitude of people is the king's honor, but in the want of people is the destruction of the prince.
So I have the ruler's disaster at the end. But the word rulers, the translation reads rozen for the Masoretic razon, famine.
You know, I doubt that the King James version of the Bible would be like all in with saying that the want of the people is the destruction of the king. That might have something to do with it. He that is slow to wrath is of greater understanding.
So I actually do have a note on verse 28, which you just read.
Okay.
In 1428, we encounter the first of a number of affirmations concerning the role of the king within the nation. There is uncertainty and doubt as to the intention that underlies it. Its this purport would appear to be to draw attention to the point that every person has some place in the divine scheme of social order. Such are even the poor, who are creatures of the divine creator. They are entitled to respect and compassion. Correspondingly, however high and exalted the person of the king may be, it is the multitude of ordinary people who confer his greatness upon him. No person is so mean and worthless that he or she has no proper place in the purposes of God. Well, there is, we could definitely talk about some of the kings that were just awful.
Right. Well, I mean, like half of them, basically.
Yeah, basically like half of them.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to see how awful they were, go back and watch our episodes for Kings and Chronicles, and you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. I agree. People who get pissed off really quickly and easily are obnoxious.
Yeah, you gotta think about your actions.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. Again, we have rottenness of bones.
Yeah, so just as the source of good speech lies in right thinking, verse 3, so the basis for healthy living takes its origin in the cultivation of a thoughtful and disciplined mind. What this reminded me of, and the reason I noted that, was the Eightfold Path.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, the Eightfold Path isn't very descriptive.
I know. Neither is this.
Right. I could see that. Right. But
yeah, because you have right speech, right mind, right thoughtfulness, right fucking everything.
Yeah, just do everything right.
Yeah.
There's a right way and a wrong way. You can do it the right way.
And that's right.
Yeah.
Do that.
Or you could do it the wrong way, and that's folly.
Yeah, that is folly.
Yep. But this rottenness of the bones thing, they keep bringing this up. Was this like a major problem for them? Did they have like outbreaks of bonitis?
Okay, so that was back in the first chapter we read today, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. Here it says, a sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. But I'm pretty sure that the bones...
Yes, there is a note on that, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So back in chapter 12, verse 4, they are making a distinction between, or a parallel between her husband's crown and rot in his bones. In this instance, the antithesis of the two versettes diverges from the general pattern of stereotypical predictability, as in the three preceding lines, to exhibit an energy of biting satiric wit. After the crown image, which is conventional and decorous, the antithetical second verset moves from an adornment sitting on the head to something eating away the bones from within, suggesting that the badness of a bad wife has more intense effect on the negative side than the goodness of a good wife on the positive side. The object of this strong smile, moreover, a shameful wife, is held back to the very end of the line, thus becoming a kind of punch word.
But that's incorrect.
Yes.
You know, I took a health psychology class at one point, and we went over the health benefits of marriage. And while it is true...
The whole point is that it just rots you from the inside.
Yeah, but while it is true that being married has certain health benefits for both men and women, for women, you only see the health benefits in like a stable, satisfactory marriage. For men, you still see the health benefits no matter how bad the relationship is. So, you know, having a bad wife...
That'd be weird that you would see benefits if...
Well, maybe if she's coming at you with a knife, you don't see any health benefits. But like at that point, I don't think that it's worth keeping around anyway. But so like, I mean, in terms of medical science, that bit was wrong, right?
I want to talk to Ken Hovind about that one.
Oh,
I think that would be fun. Talk to Kent Hovind.
it would be fun. Let's finish out this chapter. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous hath hope in his death. You know, even with that previous verse, they still collect alms, charity,
Yes.
right? So that's the thing. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous hath hope in his death. Wisdom resteth in the heart of him that hath understanding, but that which is in the midst of fools is made known. You know, that's fucked. Wisdom resteth in the heart of him that hath understanding, but that which is in the midst of fools is made known, right? So if you're wise, don't tell people things that you're wise about.
No, so I think so in a discerning heart, wisdom rests, but is not known in the midst of fools.
Well, why not? You would figure that the whole point of being around wise people is so that you can counsel with wise people and therefore become more wise yourself.
Here's actually a point that he makes. The Masoretic text lacks the not, but this is surely a scribal error because it is hard to imagine that there would be a declaration in Proverbs that wisdom is known in the midst of fools. Yeah, so I think that's the point there.
Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. Ooh. Right. So the king, right? With that last verse, the king, in acting wisely, must act in accordance with what God would do. Right?
Or just at least thought out stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the end of chapter 14.
Yes,
if you're
it is.
enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share it around, share it to all your friends in Russia.
Subscribe if you haven't.
Yep. If you can get Putin, we want Putin.
Tell him I sent you.
Yeah.
He'll know what it means.
Tell him it's time to activate, comrade.
Давай, товарищ. Okay, let's go. Where are we at? 15.
Yeah,
we are doing the final chapter for the day.
So the general themes of the sentence instruction that have been dealt with in earlier chapters continue here. But two discernible developments become evident. Foremost among these is the greatly increased number of references to the Lord God. 9 instances in this chapter. Moreover, these references have evidently been intended to show that the demands of piety and allegiance to wisdom's precepts are wholly in agreement with each other. The pursuit of wisdom and adherence to the commandments and worship of the Lord as God are as one. The second feature that now becomes more demonstrable is a process of grouping sayings together which deal with related themes. So we'll get into it.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good.
So it is in this deepened emphasis on bringing together the demands of wisdom instruction with those of religious devotion that a number of the most memorable and distinctive ideas emerge. Prominent among these is that because God is able to see every place in 15:3 and to look into the deepest thoughts and feelings of the heart, which we'll get into later, so all worship and prayer are subject to divine scrutiny.
Yes, they are. Only the true of heart. Those are the good ones. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit.
The Hebrew wording is crabbed, and there could be a textual problem in this verset. Here's a very literal rendering. Well, it says healing speech is a tree of life, and a perversion in it is a break in the spirit.
Okay.
The translation for clarity repeats speech, more literally tongue, from the first verset in it. Bah refers to speech. So,
A fool despises his father's instruction, but whoever heeds reproof is prudent. In the house of the righteous there is much treasure, but trouble befalls the income of the wicked. Also, not necessarily true. Maybe eventually it was, but it'd be hard to tell like when the end of that would be. Yeah. The lips of the wise spread knowledge, not so the hearts of fools. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is acceptable to him. Acceptable. It's not great to him. It doesn't smell sweet, if you're burning meat or anything, but it's acceptable.
Yeah,
he is content with it.
Yeah, there's a bit here.
That's good. I'll have bacon.
Men and women can outwardly observe and judge the actions of their fellow human beings, but they cannot delve into the hidden reasons and motives which prompted them, even when body language of winks and gestures indicates a gap between thought and speech. One cannot fully disclose the inner processes of thought, for they remain hidden. When pressed to the extreme, even the person speaking the word or committing the deed might not be fully aware of the motives that prompted it. Only God can know that. So wisdom points to the existence of a secret inner world of the mind into which only God can see.
Yeah.
Right.
So the reason I noted that was because I'm sure somebody has told you this at some point. You're an atheist because you just want to sin. They try to psychoanalyze you.
Right.
And I don't know if you've personally experienced that, but I have.
Yeah.
So now I can just point them to this set of verses here, and then they will know that Bible says you can't possibly know my mind. Only God knows my mind.
Yeah.
According to their theology.
Well, I mean, also according to modern
Yeah,
epistemology,
exactly,
right?
yes.
You can't access other people's thoughts.
I know you can't.
Can't even
I know
access
a lot
your
of
own
people,
inner thoughts, really.
A lot of people try to, I understand when you're doing a psychoanalysis, like it's I get that it's not particularly easy because you don't have access to their innermost thoughts.
Right. That's why one of the modern approaches is like after they finish, going on a spiel about something, you repeat back to them what they said, phrased in a different way. Like, so what you're saying is X, in order to affirm that your understanding of what they're talking about is the same as that which they intend.
All right. Either way.
But I thought that was noteworthy here because obviously the upright people who are praying, God knows that they're upright because he knows the contents of their minds.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Where were we? Right, about the being acceptable to him.
Yeah.
The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loves him who pursues righteousness. There is severe discipline for him who forsakes the way. Whoever hates reproof will die. Sheol and Abaddon lie open before the Lord. How much more the hearts of the children of man? I'm sure there's some commentary on Sheol and Abaddon.
Yeah, this line departs from the predominant antithesis between the two versets to employ an a fortiori pattern. Proposition, first verset, followed by how much more so, second verset. The effect here is quite striking. The vast depths of the realm of death, Sheol and perdition are synonyms, not distinct entities, lie transparently exposed to the Lord's scrutiny, which therefore can penetrate the human heart with incomparably greater ease. This structure thus produces a powerful statement of how completely God knows all of our all of our most innermost thoughts.
Mhm.
You could have just said innermost.
A scoffer does not like to be reproved. He will not go to the wise. A glad heart makes a cheerful face, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is crushed.
More literally, the heart's pain is a lamed spirit.
The heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouths of fools feed on folly. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but the cheerful of heart has a continual feast.
You know, in Genesis, the thing that gets Adam and Eve kicked out of the garden is eating the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, right?
Yeah.
So they keep bringing up this imagery in Proverbs of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
as and in connection with like a fruit of the mouth, or like,
Well, yeah, I think we covered some of this imagery before. I don't know if it was in Job or in the Psalms. I remember being in wisdom literature,
yeah,
but like it goes like when they talk about it being like in your belly, it's like in your innermost.
Mhm.
I don't even know what word to end that off with,
Mhm.
but it's in you deep. It's in your mind. It has consumed your being.
right.
Yeah.
But with wisdom being associated with the fruit, they also bring up the tree of life throughout Proverbs,
Mm-hmm.
which was only ever referenced to in Genesis. Otherwise,
that's,
so far as I know.
Well, right, but I don't know if it would be the same, like if the author of this would have the same imagery of that as we do.
Well, I mean, are we thinking that Genesis was written after Proverbs?
I mean, it's really hard to tell, right? Because no, I mean, I don't think Genesis was written after Proverbs. No, because because I think Genesis was post-exilic, but not so far post-exilic that I know it is hard to tell because you don't know when exactly this is. It's hard to tell when these are from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't really give you any historical context.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, that you don't really know what's going on.
But at
necessarily.
least we can tell that they were an agricultural civilization at this point in time,
Yeah, yeah.
and that they had like trade.
Mm.
So there was a thriving economy. It wasn't like, early Stone Age.
Right. I mean,
So,
they did have,
right.
In early Israel, it was very agricultural.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd have to look more about stuff post exile.
Yeah. Well, let's continue.
Yeah. Where the hell was I? They had the feast, right? Okay. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble with it. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fattened ox and hatred with it. A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger quiets contention. The way of a sluggard is like a hedge of thorns, but the path of the upright is a level highway. Is there some commentary on that? The way of the sluggard is like a hedge of thorns?
No, it does also say hedge of thorns, but this verse 19 it looks almost like a response or an elaboration of verse 18, right? Because they're extolling patience, right, in verse 18.
Yes.
But then they're saying, don't be so patient that you become slothful, right?
Perhaps, yeah.
And otherwise, I don't see if there is a relation between these two verses.
Well, let's keep going. Maybe it'll elucidate something.
Right.
A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish man despises his mother.
In light of the parallelism with the first verse, this does not mean that he deliberately scorns his mother because he is a fool, but rather that his being a fool has the effect of humiliating his hapless mother.
Wow, that definitely goes a lot more than what it says. Folly is a joy to him who lacks sense, but a man of understanding walks straight ahead. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. To make an apt answer is a joy to a man, and a word in season, how good it is. Word in season.
Well, an apt answer is literally his mouth's answer.
Okay.
So people like to hear themselves talk.
All right. But it's interesting that it says is a joy to a man. So it's not just about
Here it says, and how good is a timely word.
well, that verse that
great.
makes sense, but the other one,
Which one?
for the first half of
There
the
is
verse.
joy for man in an apt answer.
Yeah.
So it literally means there's joy from a man in his mouth's answer.
Okay.
Right. So like I said, people like hearing themselves talk. They like to give answers to things. It's an enjoyable thing,
I suppose.
even when it's foolish.
The path of life leads upward for the prudent, that he may turn away from Sheol beneath. The Lord tears down the house of the proud, but maintains the widow's boundaries.
Boundary stone.
Boundary stone.
Yes,
Okay.
it says these were used to mark the borders of a person's property. Thus, the possessions of the vulnerable widow are safeguarded by God.
Okay. The thoughts of the wicked are an abomination to the Lord, but gracious words are pure. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles. For unjust gain troubles his own household. But he who hates bribes will live. The heart of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things.
Ooh, the righteous man's heart utters truth, but the mouth of the wicked bubbles with evils. The Masoretic text reads, utters to answer, but the Septuagint, the Syriac, and the Targum all seem to reflect a Hebrew text that read, emunim, truth, true things, trustworthiness, instead of la'anot.
The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. I'm sure he would hear the prayer of the wicked too.
Mm-hmm.
The light of the eyes rejoices the heart.
Well, he might hear, but he might not listen.
Maybe. The light of the... Well, remember, hearing, like when they say, like, hear my words, like it kind of also means...
It implies
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah. Anyways, the light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and good news refreshes the bones. There we go with that bone imagery again, but this
Yeah,
time it's
yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, it says puts sap in the bones.
Sap, okay.
So apparently, like, people needed, like, transfusions.
No. Because that's also the tree of life imagery.
Yeah.
By the way, the ear that listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. Whoever ignores instruction despises himself, but he who listens to reproof gains intelligence. The fear of the Lord is instruction in wisdom, and humility comes before honor.
There's a little difference here. It says the Lord's fear is wisdom's foundation, and humility comes before honor. That's the Lord's fear, not necessarily the fear of the Lord, and is wisdom's foundation. Right? So the Masoretic text has Musar Chokmah, the reproof of wisdom, which is conceivable but odd. This translation adopts a small, widely proposed emendation, Musad, foundation for Musar. This would bring the verse in line with several statements in Proverbs that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
I mean, and that's definitely something that we have covered before.
Yes.
Yeah. Either way, that is the end of the readings today. If you enjoyed the streams, please drop a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Let's see.
pop on our videos at all of your house parties that you're having now because the quarantine's over.
And don't get the virus.
Yeah, don't
Don't do that. That'd be bad.
Don't get the Racona virus.
Yeah, that one. It's a totally different one.
Yep.
Yeah.
A one that won't get us demonetized.
Either way, let's see what do we have going on. We got a Patreon page.
Yeah, we got Patreon. You can hop on there. You can give us $1 a month to get access to all of our video scripts for our scripted videos, which is a lot of information. You can also give us $10 a month, and you'll be entered into a T-shirt giveaway.
Yes, the T-shirt giveaway, by the way, is going to be next week. And sadly, today was not a Sunday, so it's gonna have to wait until next week.
Yep.
So we're going to have the T-shirt giveaway next week. So if you can become a patron up to that point, you'll be entered into that, obviously.
Yep. For $50 a month, you can get on this show or on our Friday show once a month.
Yeah. And limited availability for that one because we only have so many shows. But either way, then there's a whole slew of other rewards. What else we got?
You can come to events that we host for some amount of money.
Yeah. Once this shit's over.
Yeah.
We're going to get started on that. Let's see. What else we got going on? We got Teespring, too, if you don't want to pay us every month.
Teespring, if you want to buy yourself a Milwaukee Atheist T-shirt.
My dad taught me how to broadcast on YouTube.
Yeah. We also have an Amazon wish list. If you want to add to the table, then that is great. We've got plenty of books on there that'll help us lengthen out these broadcasts.
And also our other videos, because you know what? We read the books. We use them as sources. So, if you want better content, it's reinvesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reinvesting.
You want some better content? Well, the books are on there. If you want us to read them, we'll do that.
Yep. If you want us to use them as commentary.
So many of you have.
Definitely, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we definitely have put in.
We also have a Facebook and Twitter. Free to follow us on there.
Yep.
Yeah, we do stuff. We post things.
Yep.
Talk to people. All that good stuff. Social media stuff,
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's.
Are we missing something? I feel like we are.
Are we missing something?
Oh, yeah. Clarity. Go donate to that drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have one that we're trying to do, but delayed. Alchemy Drive.
All right.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a $666 donation drive.
Guess use the most clear.
our mums are dead, except for the Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of us have skilled labor.
Yeah.
Actually.
Either way, I think that's it. So that would be the end of the show. And
we will.
For everyone stuck around, we will see you on Friday or Sunday. We got to change this thing.
We'll see you some